This program is a joint production of the Kimokeo Foundation, whose mission is to preserve and perpetuate Hawaii's unique culture, language, people, and environment. Information is online at kimokeo.org. And Maui Causes, a crowd-funded media production group supporting not-for-profit, progressive, and environmental causes in Maui County. Join us on the web at mauicauses.org.
Aloha Maui. Welcome again to the Kimokeo Foundation show. It's really, now I think we're going into a number of shows, but most importantly, we wanted to tell you that Kimokeo Foundation is preservation, perpetuation, education of the Hawaiian culture. And one of them has been the language, but today will be a little different about environment and culture. And it gives me great pleasure to have this guest with me this morning, and I'll have them introduce themselves, and throughout the show we'll be doing several questions, and anytime any of these shows you have a question, you please call us up and give a question so we can answer that. But right now I'd like to introduce our guests.
Thanks. I'm Bob King. I'm president of Pacific Biodiesel, and we've been in business for over 20 years, making renewable energy here on Maui, as well as all the other islands, Big Island, Oahu. And
congratulations, Bob. That's a lot of years of your work, and I know you're the gentleman behind the scene and taking your environment into science and research and doing all the wonderful things that we'll be talking on the show. So welcome to the Kimokeo Foundation show. And with you?
Thanks for having me.
I'm Joy Galatro, Marketing Director, working with Bob and the team for Pacific Biodiesel, the storyteller of the group. So I'm the one that gets to be able to explain to the public all the things that are happening that are exciting, including the sunflowers.
Yeah, I think, Bob, one of the things that are based on was environment and culture, but let's talk about environment because it took you in your farming beginning and everything else. So let's talk about that and share with us about your farming and how it began and what was your thought in your head, because I know you've been out in the public for that long and you've been around for a while, but some people are new into town and some people are new to what's happening with Pacific Biodiesel. So let's take them back in the beginning of time, 23 years ago.
Well, I'll go back a little further. When I was young and going to college, I was in small towns, and I majored in agriculture mechanics. And then I decided, well, working on tractors is fine, but I could work on diesel engines, and so I became a diesel mechanic. And then I moved to Maui when I was very young. So working on diesel engines in Hawaii, that's where I, kind of came into the renewable energy side of using used cooking oil to make diesel fuel for diesel engines. And but I always wanted to do something more. I knew we had to go further than just recycled oil here in Hawaii. We have to get to a crop, and so I tapped into that knowledge from way back of farming and farm days, and about 7 or 8 years ago we started farming on Oahu, and trying different kinds of crops, a dozen different crops, trying to find something that we thought would be a good thing to grow for energy here in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at the past, the Hawaiians, so one of the things that was really important to them was the vai, the water. The water is the wealth, so when you're looking to farming, was that part of the consideration for you, or not the consideration of water, and where would it come from, and how much would it cost, and everything like that?
Yeah, it's always got to be a big piece of
your farming.
Of the farming is the water, yes.
And what product did you come out with at that time on farming?
Well, I think we've always realized it's going to be a variety of things. So we different ones have different interest for us, but and so sunflower was one of the top ones. We really like sunflower. Very prolific crop, doesn't take so much water, and it looks nice. But safflower, canola, camelina, we've done soybeans. One of the issues with soy is that it's high in protein, so it's really about, you have to grow it for protein, and the oil's the byproduct. And the other thing is that with all of our crops, we also want to do things that fit the community and fit long term. So we don't do GMO crops. We don't use pesticides or herbicides. You gotta give a little bit to
Right.
get a little bit.
Well, that's interesting because everybody at Maui has enjoyed your sunflower growth up at Waikapu. I mean, everybody so many that you guys was in trouble in the first stages, and had a lot of calls about traffic jam and people just pulling off the road and getting everybody excited with a beautiful yellow,
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I came there to do the opening, and as from the opening to now, I've learned a lot between then about. There's two different type of sunflower. One, you're saying that you wanted to do a product more for oil versus protein versus soybean, and this product you have right now is doing 4 different things I learned. You want to share that, Joy?
Yeah, we like to call it the F's of the type of crops that we grow. Sunflower has the ability to be turned into fuel, biodiesel fuel. This is our renewable, 100% biodegradable fuel that we make on the Big Island. We have a refinery that produces 5.5 million gallons a year of our renewable fuel. Feed, when we actually press the seeds, it makes a material that can be used as an ingredient in livestock feed. Face and food, this is actually the oil that we have made from our harvest last year. This right now is cosmetic grade, and we have started selling that into spas in Hawaii. Andaz Maui was the first, and it's a beautiful, very healthy oil for skin. So they actually use it for massage, hair treatments, nails, and then we want to make this food grade, so an edible food grade oil. That's what's really exciting when we think about our sustainability system, because when we can sell food grade oil into the restaurants and they cook with it, and we collect the used cooking oil. This is actually used cooking oil that we get from primarily all the restaurants in the state, which we use to produce the biodiesel. It'll be a full circle moment to be able to grow the sunflowers, make the the food, then collect the used cooking oil. It's a full circle.
Well, I think that's really great for us to know that in the environment that we can be self-sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have kind of led the industry in that, especially for Maui, Bob. And so when you talk about diesel, now we're talking about 5.5 million gallons a year. So tell me, who's using all this diesel now?
Well, our largest customer is the utility, Hawaiian Electric, and one of our next largest and one of our oldest customers has been the city and county of Honolulu, that uses it in all their fleet vehicles.
Well, that's amazing. Any of the boats using this thing?
There's several boats.
Several boats. Is Pacific Whale Foundation one of them?
No, they're not.
Who's the boats using it?
Trilogy, Extended Horizons, yeah.
Wow, that's great. Because here we're talking about Mauka Makai. What are we doing with the land, and we're farming on the land, and how does it complement the ocean? So I really appreciate the idea that having a clean engine in the ocean and making the air clean, helps the ocean. Anything can help the ocean, because I reflect back on when they had the Olympics up in Utah, United States, and the question was posed to that diving family, Cousteau, and was asking, he was the ambassador for the Olympics, what are you doing here on the mountain? He said, whatever you do in the mountain affects the ocean. And so I'm up here to tell you guys, take care of the ocean. And so just like how you guys doing, and that's kind of what happened to us, because we're now working, trying to work with you on a moon calendar on farming, and more than farming is trying to make sure that we keep everything away from the ocean, and you guys do exactly that. I mean, now it's funny you say that the electric utility company Hawaiian Utility, you say?
Hawaiian Electric, right?
Hawaiian Electric uses
Maui Electric, Hawaii Electric.
Maui Electric. They're a renewable company too. You know, they've gone into solar and they've gone into, I know Kauai has gone into hydro, and now we went to wind power. You know, and it's amazing that now the land-based people are serving them fuel to get out there to do all this work. So it's really great that we can do this in our community. You know, and I think it's really you know, a beautiful thing that we can do that with the fuel. You know, we go back to diesel. I mean, I was brought up like you, Bob, with a lot of diesel engines in the farm and the plantation, and all we know about diesel is boom, 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 boom with a lot of smoke, you know. And now we're taking that situation where we just 80% or more of that doesn't happen, right? You know, so it's a great thing. And then now we talk about so when you pick up this this oil here, we talk about this the oil we're picking up from all the restaurants.
Right.
So
Comes to us.
is everyone participating with us on the restaurants and the hotels and other people that we should be encouraged with this show, that we would like to have them to bring this to you guys, you know, and to do more than 5.5 million. So if you're doing 5.5 million gallons a year, when you started off, how much was that you started with?
I think we started off, our first biodiesel plant was 200,000 gallons a year.
Wow. Just imagine, 200,000 gallons, and now we're 5.5 million gallons.
Yeah.
And I would think that, Bob, that if more people participated with this waste oil, that we'd be able to generate more than 5.5 million gallons.
Yeah, there's still more out there. I would say, I don't know how much more. We get quite a bit. I mean, we get all the commercially collected oil, but there's still some that gets thrown in the dumpster or poured down the drain, which is a real problem.
Yeah.
So there's more, always more we can do to recycle.
Well, it'd be great that that we can sort of make it where people bring it in voluntarily,
Yeah.
Versus in the future that something would have to be managed by law for them to bring it in, because a lot of things that's happening like that gonna go at one point going to have to come in and be recycled.
Well, the thing that really got me going with getting this out of the landfill too is that when you put vegetable oil into a landfill, you know, you put it in the trash and it goes to the landfill. What happens is, even if it starts to solidify in your trash, it gets hot in the landfill, turns liquid, starts coming down through the landfill, and it's picking up toxins from everything else
Collecting it
that's in the landfill. So not just what you put in, it's what
in there.
collects that, you know, and then the vegetable oil is not compatible with most of the liners that they use in new landfills to line the bottom of the landfill to keep all that liquids in there. So it's generally neoprene. Ours is neoprene on Maui. Neoprene is not compatible with vegetable oil. So your cooking oil will eat up the liner.
It'll make a hole.
And it makes a hole. Then now where is it all going? We know where it's all going. It goes back out to our water, to our ocean. And so, you know, that's where, you know, the least amount that we try to put under the rug, really, by putting it into the landfill. The least that goes in there, the better off we're all going to be, or, you know, especially in 50 or 100 years from now, when all that eventually gets down into our water table.
So now we have 5.5 million gallons. So what's the future of Pacific Biodiesel increasing that amount to a couple more millions? Are you guys looking forward in doing that, or are you working with all the islands, or just Maui and Big Island and Oahu? And how do you get that to you?
Well, I think on the cooking oil side, we're pretty, you know, we're maxing out. So we get all the oil from all the islands, every island.
For the fuel.
To make into fuel. So we work with another vendor on Kauai. We have our own trucks on Oahu, Maui, Big Island, Molokai, Lanai. But there's only so much cooking oil, and I don't want everybody to eat more fries, because that's not good for us either. Yeah. But that's why I'm farming, that is the future. We have to, from here, we have to grow a crop. And and the reason joy's an important part of this is that we also realize that we probably won't ever grow a crop just for energy, because now the energy has to pay all of the farming costs, and it's expensive to farm in Hawaii. So let's share the costs with the ranchers that want feed, with the spas and the restaurants that want oil. We have other products that we can make, a myriad of other products that we can make, and that helps the whole package so that the farmer can afford to farm. And hopefully once the model is out there, other people will be doing the farming, not just us. It
But it's
needs
awesome.
a whole community of farmers.
Right. I
out
think
there.
that's awesome that you say that, you maxed out with collecting as much as you could from all the restaurants, everybody, and now you need to farm. And now you have this product that you have that turns into what we talk the F with is the fuel, the food, the face, and the feed, And what a combination that is. So let's talk about the food. So, because here we have the beautiful oil that we're looking at using at the resorts,
Yes.
kind of thing. So, because of the fuel, now we're going to have these other products, right? So
Right.
the main object of this product is to increase the fuel product, but same time you get a cost of that, and now you marketing off on the food, and the food we're talking about the oil.
Right. The cooking oil is one of the products that we're making as a result of the farming operation. We're getting through the process now of becoming certified to sell it as a food grade product. It's a sunflower oil is one of the oils. As we start to farm other products, we could have others that we can bring to market. But this is a nutritious oil, high in omega-6, for example. And we're just getting in front of some chefs now to get their feedback. We want to see what they love about it, what they might use it for. So we're kind of still in that research mode, but hope to be able to bring this to market for that food component by this summer.
So we Pacific Biodiesel now has acreages in farm, and you've made a first harvest. And so what was the amount of food and fuel and facial and feed came out of that first acreage as an example?
Oh, yeah. I mean, tens of thousands of pounds of seed, and it really met our expectations,
Great.
exceeded our expectations, but almost met our goals straight out of the gate there. So
So how was large the first field planting? How large was that?
I think the first field was 12 or 14 acres.
And what amount of gallons or things we got out of it?
And we had on a theoretic, when we measured the field, did a measurement of a random piece of the field, we figured that it was producing about 95 gallons to the acre of oil after we crush it and make it into oil. We didn't get all that off the field because we're learning what kind of headers we needed for the combine and the timing and everything. So we got over half of that, but we didn't get all of it off the field. So left a lot of seed on the field.
Well, that's great news. I mean, that's an evolution of the life of what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Every day we live and learn, right? So that's a live and learn situation, but it also took us to a greater situation. We always say that, the things that we learn will be the foundation of what we need to do ahead of us. And so I think your response that you had reached, your goal. So that's good news for us that you reached your goal, because it'll be good news for all the environmental things that happening with that. So when you speak about what you've gotten, we're looking at other things that help in the environment, and where we're putting that. So congratulations on that. And we're so happy to see the growth from where we started and where we'll be, a year from today. So I think we're into the situation right now. We're not even a year in. Are we a year in or 2 years?
Yeah, year in.
Year in, only a year in. And so we come out the year in and where we at. So you've done a lot.
But there's so much to learn about, the different seasons and the different rotations of crops. We can't stay with just sunflower. We have to have a whole variety of crops, and the fun thing about this is that we, as a state, Hawaii hasn't done oil seeds really. I mean, we have some kukui that they harvested from the old days, and a few different nuts. But this type of mechanized harvesting is new, and yes, they've done it other places, but not here. So we have to learn how this works here. And so for the kids coming up, I can just see, decades and decades of research and thought and trying different things to optimize this, and it'll be fun. We can try this, try that.
I think that's what makes Maui Noko'oia, Bob. That we're working with Maui style, and Maui elements, and we're talking about the moon calendar and how we're working with that and how close we can get to that, and how it's making a difference for you to understand, the ancient ways of that. And I think we're not perfect, but we're all learning about that calendar and how we can help the product and same time help the water situation, because this product takes hardly any water, correct?
Yeah, like everything we're growing right now is what we call dry land, so we don't irrigate it at all. In the summertime, if we want to grow in the summertime, we have to irrigate, but much less, of course, than some of the other crops that are out
Well,
there.
it's amazing that during the winter you don't need to irrigate, and during the summer. So if we look at our winter months, what would be that months that we consider no irrigation?
Probably from, we had late November or October even till probably May. Those are the months where you get water. Now the crop doesn't need water at the end, so by June or July, everything will be harvested that will not need irrigation. Anything that we want to harvest beyond that, we'll have to start putting water on.
Yeah, well,
so it could be it's like the mainland. The farming on the mainland, they have the frost in the winter time and they don't farm in the winter time. But maybe for us, we're going to do it the opposite. We'll grow in the winter time when we have water and and take a pause and it's dry in the summer, or move to another part of the island that gets water. So these are all things that we can
it would
work
be
on
like
as we go forward.
almost the same like the ancient Hawaiian calendar. Kau, vela, kau. Kau is wet, vela is hot, and then kau is wet. So that was the season. And that's the way they grew things. And it was really hard to get over the stretch on when it was dry. So they didn't have the what you call pipeline irrigation, so they had to wait off a little while and then restart again. So, and that helps them with the moon calendar of kind of helping guiding them wet season and dry season. So, kau vela kau was one of the ways they did that: wet, dry, wet. And so, learning with the sunflower, it's amazing that we have a crop like that can do that. And if you look at what you said, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, we're almost like 7 months of water that's been available for another crop that we don't have to use for, kind of thing. And so here we go to fuel, and then now with food, and now we're at feed. So tell us about the byproduct on the feed. Joy, where do we send that byproduct?
Well, right now we're testing that out. It's just getting the nutritional analysis that we can share with groups that can blend that into a feed for animal. It by itself is excellent high protein meal, but we're learning that that's an ingredient in a mix that can be sold to cattle farmers, pig farmers, chicken.
Cool.
So feeding the creatures.
But I was just at Maui Brew. They opened up their dining room, last week, and sharing with them of their byproduct that they, because they don't need to be worried about that. Every farmer that comes up and picks up so they don't waste any of their byproduct. It goes to the ranchers and goes to the pig farm and everybody else. So, it's a really great news that Maui Brew does that, and really good news that you guys are looking into that, kind of thing, and get that done. So.
It's really a zero waste operation in our ag and energy model. We're always looking for, this is a sunflower stalk. So once the sunflower is dry in the field and the combine harvester comes in and cuts off the heads and pulls the seeds out, this is actually a usable product as well. So we're going to be exploring don't just dump this in the landfill. What can we use this for?
Nothing goes to the landfill.
Nothing goes in the landfill. There are products made, there's hempcrete that's made out of industrial hemp. This is, sunflowercrete is a product that can be made. So we're always looking and innovating on what are we producing and how can we turn something that is a waste product into something that's a high value product. Again, it all started by 20 years ago when Bob saw all of the hundreds of thousands of gallons being dumped into the Maui landfill and said, what are we doing? There's a better way. And the ingenuity to be able to create a system to produce a biodegradable fuel for our state.
Yeah.
It gives us such a great sense of pride that is something that's a local company making local fuel. We're not importing fuel. Biodiesel made here out of these waste products and agriculture, sustainable agriculture.
It's great that you brought this because I was there the other day with you guys and looking at that and really looked like foam in here.
Yeah.
You really could use this for floating, or you could use this for boards or something like that. So I'm pretty sure you guys are going to find a usage for this soon, And so it's amazing that.
But maybe others, we don't have to invent everything. Remember, there's somebody out there that's going to say.
I think showing people this product. I mean, we want to encourage other people to farm. We want to encourage other people to make oil. We want to encourage people to harvest their own grease oil and come up with some kind of thing. And because we need a few people to make this a sustainable state, And they're talking about 2045 that we're going to be sustainable renewable energy, and I think this is part of this will be encouraging people and how to do that, especially Pacific Biodiesel when you change your product into fuel. I'd like to encourage you to go look at the group called Arista, ARISTA group.org, because these guys are doing exactly the same thing you're doing with LPG gas, natural gas, in the freighter ship to have ships all over the world be clean, And here we're doing our own thing, like Maui style, that makes Maui no koi. No, I think that we're showing them the product so people can be encouraged and motivated, go get land and go do it because there might be another product out there that they do versus sunflower, and research and having you to encourage people, motivate people because you would like everybody to get involved with this, and the more people we get involved, the more we can save our environment, We're going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back.
All right.
This program is a joint production of the Kimokeo Foundation, whose mission is to preserve and perpetuate Hawaii's unique culture, language, people, and environment. Information is online at kimokeo.org. And Maui Causes, a crowd-funded media production group supporting not-for-profit, progressive, and environmental causes in Maui County. Join us on the web at mauicauses.org.
Haiano kaukalao kaleo, heiano no e valeno e. Una mea una no ea na melie e hume We're going to have Kelly, Tausi, and Maisie going to present lays to our farmers. And you're saying in this chant, I present this lay, I entrust you with the land and what you're going to do with our land. And you entrust them what they've done here. And like Kelly and Bob said, this is a 90-day crop. 90 days from today, we'll present the lay back to you guys and say to you, you've entrusted me with this land. And are you very happy of what we have for you? Kale imaela o kaula ike kai ke malama lama o ni ia ua mali Amaliepa, kainu vaela, keinu maela, ena ala ona wea ike kae, no na wea kaala, no puna ka vahine, no kalua no ikila wea. Ie. E kanane au. Au I ole. Kaulu. As we plant, we will grow with the seed. Not necessarily just grow with the plant. We will grow Pacific biodiesel concept in Hawaii, nationally and internationally. Ayo I oi. Kaulu. You take your lao, the gift, the tea leaf, and you just put it down. Everybody say, mahalo ke akua. Mahalo na amakua. Na o kipa. Kuno yako. Pili mai, pili mai. He pili mai kako. So! Aloha.
All right. Thank you, Kimokeo.
Mahalo,
Thanks
Baba.
everybody for coming.
Welcome back, everybody, from our break. And as we were talking, Bob, and I was thinking about, the years that brought us to this. But what clearly comes to my mind is that, it took some collaboration and partnership, with everybody. So share it with us, because it took some collaboration of you in the process we're at today.
Oh, well, see, every day's collaboration. Every day's we work with a lot of people. On a lot of different levels, but one of the levels is our employees. We have almost 100 employees now.
Wow.
And they all bring ideas. They all have a way to make their piece of this work, which makes the whole company work. And when the whole company works, then I get to go play. So that's one of the pieces I appreciate every day, is all the people that are giving me the opportunity to go out there and play around in the fields.
Yeah, well, I have one of your employees that paddles with me, Bob. He's William, And, William's job is, what is William's job, Joy?
He goes out, he's one of our drivers, and actually collects the used cooking oil from the restaurants.
Collects oil, delivers fuel.
And, he is just one employee like William, go out and collect the oil. He's so happy doing his job,
Mm-hmm.
And he makes sure that our paddling doesn't interfere his job, He would never wanted to request a special day off because if we're going voyaging or something. He's one of our voyagers, So you must appreciate, and you just shown appreciation. Just a guy like William, a driver that has a smile every day, and he just appreciate going down and pick up the oil from the people and coming back to the base yard. So I think that that is the basis of Pacific Biodiesel, The employees being the foundation of Pacific Biodiesel, and how they feel going to work, and must make them feel really great that they're making a big difference in the environment in the state of Hawaii. And now you're doing some things national and international, But locally, I still took land, so I think you got the land, with Mike Atherton. So explain that process, because now we've got more land recently.
Yeah, so it was interesting. When we saw the opportunities moving to Maui, where we'd been farming on the Big Island, and I really wanted to get our feet in the dirt over here, and we were approached by Mike Atherton, and he had about 900 acres that he wanted to farm that HCNS was farming before, and now they're not. So the land is available, and so we stepped up along with a few other farmers. So there was basically 4 farmers that share these 900 acres. It's Grant Schul with Kumu Farms, Bobby Pahia at Ho'aloha Farms, William Jacinto, who raises cattle, and Pacific Biodiesel. So we divvied up the acreage, and we got a little bonus acreage for Pacific Biodiesel that someday will be a new city, the Waikapu town, that we're farming until that happens. So it came with water, and it came with, the neighbors are great. We help each other. They're coming and showing me how the irrigation is set up. I loan them a tractor now and then. It's really a fun community over there.
What a unique situation to, when you tell me you loan them a tractor, it's almost like the old farming days where people would borrow things or just go, and it was not like a borrow, you just go use it and return it, and you took it on good faith and you brought it back, in good faith. There was never, when you're going to return it, and we hear situation now, people borrow things, don't return it,
Yeah.
And what a really unique situation in Waikapu town development with Mike Atherton and his group, Here we have a development that had considered farming first before development, and so that's the key, I think, not to put points on anything, but it's just a natural thing to talk about, that here you have a guy that wanted to farm, and then, Bobby Pahia, and so Bobby grows his own product, so Bobby's doing taro, banana, and then the Jacinto guy, he's doing onions and garlic.
He's cattle.
Oh, he's the cattle guy. And one guy's in there doing it, but it's when you mentioned earlier in the show, just not one thing, but now we have diversified farming in 900 acres, because a lot of people on Maui was questioning, what's going to happen with the farmland, when HCNS closed. So I think this should be a good answer to some of the question, even though there's 900 something acres, of all the 1,000 acres grew back, and I think there's other things happening, like what Waikapu town development is doing with the farmers, other people just farming, they're not doing that, because so it's really a great thing that the collaboration and partnership is every day. So it's like you say, but also that we had some government people involved with coming and look at your product, and so I noticed one of them was Tulsi Gabbard, So what was her interest in congressionally being here with us on Maui?
Well, Tulsi Gabbard is always, she's trying to support the next piece of agriculture, realizing that, the last era is over now.
Right.
And so, what's out there? How to, they know that that you have to help get the next industry started, and it's expensive. And Macy Hirono has been helping us for many years. She helped with some of our previous projects on the Big Island and places. And again, very concerned that we aren't just about condos and hotels. We have to have the rest of the picture. Otherwise, those pieces don't play either. So, people come here, they want to see that we're healthy and we have a diversified economy going, and so they've been trying to get federal assistance for Hawaii for these kinds of projects. It's not easy.
I think it's really important, like you said, daily collaboration, because as you know now, all of the resorts or the industry is farm to table, and so
farm to face.
Or farm to face, and farm to equipment. So it's really interested that our congressional members like Gabbard and Hirono recognize the importance of just not one industry, and it's going to take a model of industry to support Hawaii in the future. And having that model, and what we're talking about right now is a great model. So I'm really appreciative of the congressional, legislative, and even county, you know, in looking towards preserving agriculture, because it's our way of life, and it's been a way of life, and having what I call, you know, the new way of looking at the island and looking at how they manage it would be, you know, it was environment, and then became culture, and now we're into science, technology, and economics, you know, and how all your work fits in that, you know, because what we're looking at today, what will happen in the year 2100, what will happen in 2200. So it's important that we keep all this open space that we have for agriculture in agriculture. And more importantly, what you just say, that we got to be diversified. You know, we cannot only, and I know that the industry supports that. So we know that a lot of the chefs are doing their own thing in farmland, and a lot of the chefs are working with the farmers, you know. But Pacific Biodiesel, having this product to work into fuel, and then work into feed and food and facial, it helps and complements the industry that we have today. And not only the industry, but it complements our community in many ways. And
I would like to add farm to that. Just
Sure.
We didn't know our crop of sunflowers would be just these superstars. We've been on so many magazine covers just in the last 12 months that we're really supporting the tourism industry.
Yeah.
We have people contacting us, and really the great partnership with Maui Tropical Plantation. They opened up with Kumu Farms to be able to grow sunflowers on their property, so people can drive by our farmland and then go to Maui Tropical, park safely, you know, get those sunflower selfies that everyone wants. And it's really opened up the story that we're able to tell to the community. You know, you mentioned sugarcane changing. Right after our first crop last year, when 50,000 people, we estimate, drove by and some walked in, I was in Wailea, and there was a woman working at a boutique there, and, you know, we're talking. She said, "Oh, you're Pacific Biodiesel. Oh, you're the ones growing the sunflowers. I've lived here 35 years. We were also worried when sugarcane went away, and we didn't know what would happen next. And all of a sudden, these beautiful yellow flowers come up." And she was crying at that point. She was just so excited that, you know, something positive was coming to Maui. You know, we were growing a crop that was a company that's sustainability oriented, and I was able to talk to her about what we're doing with the sunflowers. So the educational piece around this crop in particular has been incredible for us to tell the story of, you know, what we're doing and what others can do. And that's a very positive thing in our employees as well. Employees in our own company are like, "Oh my gosh, we're on another magazine cover. Oh, somebody asked me at the grocery store, wow, you guys are doing great things." So it's really helped our employees, and then working with you bringing the culture in to be able to teach us, you know, the Hawaiian moon calendar, and you did the blessing for our first crop of our second season. Our employees being there, it was such a sense of pride. They were talking about it for days later, that it was so special.
I think that's really key for, you know, not only Pacific Biodiesel, but everybody to consider, you know, environment and culture, you know, as a protocol with their employees and with the company concept. And I think that concept is going to grow together as we learn with the fields and the dirt and the moon calendar and everything else. And how do we keep on collaborating and keep on learning, because we're not going to learn everything every day. And as we get our feet in the lepo or the dirt, we'll get all that in down, we actually live in it, in the environment, and live in the culture, you know. And how do we look at the diversification and collaboration with that, you know. And now it's in all the magazines. It was really something that I went to do a gallery blessing, and in the gallery, almost 50% of the artwork was in the sunflower. Rising of the sun, afternoon of the sun. We had deep red, deep yellow, and I mean, there was all this artwork that has gone on since you guys bloomed this particular product, and how it's complementing the industry of marriage people, because I understand that people now want to get married in the sunflower patch, or who they want to be in there, you know, especially the bride who chooses yellow or chooses green, you know.
Several engagements have happened in the
But
field.
I think one of the things we left out that we should really talk about that is happening also is the bees, you know, and so well, you know that was going to attract the bees, and you know this was happening, and so what's going on with the bees there, Bob?
Well, we knew we needed bees, so and about the same time we got approached by different beekeepers that can we bring some hives down, and for us it wasn't just about, you know, can they make some honey. We need the bees to properly flower the sunflowers. So it was very good symbiotic relationship. They bring the bees that pollinate our crop. They take the honey and makes this beautiful sunflower honey that's a really nice deep color.
Yeah, I think that that's really great that this just came natural, yeah? You need the bees, and they had the bees, and they come to you, and they want to marry the bees and the flower, you know. And when we were out there last time and showing each flower, each seed must be pollinated. And so that's a lot of working bees out there.
They work hard.
And they're probably going to be working much harder with this maturity of the fields that's just about to come about, you know. And about 8 or 10 fields is starting to bloom. So if anyone want to see the largest of the yellow, and I got to tell you, when we're paddling our canoe at 6 o'clock in the morning, we can see that yellow all the way from out there. So I can imagine that all the other people who's driving along, and reason why they want to stop by and see that. But it's really naturally working itself like the bees, you know. And then above there is Bobby, you know, we've worked trying to get more coconuts planted up there. So a couple 1,000 trees will be planted up there because of the bees. Because again, nothing against the resort because of safety reason, but most of the resort coconuts get cut off before the flowers get bloom. And so we have no flowers on the beach. So having that happening with Bobby guys planting a lot of coconuts and, you know, sweet potato and other canoe plants, it will help the bees population be greater there. And one of the interesting things that happened just a couple of days ago, people in South Maui are recognizing more monarch butterfly that's coming, you know, flying around. You think the sunflower has to do anything with that? Because we never had monarchs flying along the beaches like we do now, you know, and we have more monarch butterflies on the coastline of South Maui, especially where we're at North Kihei, you know.
Well, I do see them in the field. They're out in the sunflower field. But the other thing I realize is that the fields that we're not farming, that are going back natural, they're not that uniform sugarcane anymore. There's all kinds of things growing down there, all kinds of little, you know, weeds, weeds, but different. But the flowering, blossoming weeds of different kinds. And so that diversity that's going back into the field is actually promoting a lot of things. You know, some we may not like. A lot more pigs than we used to have because there's stuff for them to eat now, and birds and other, you know, and the.
Well, I think it's great that we're using our farmland, because if we don't use it, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it to exactly what you talk about. First to the ground weeds, you know, and if it's not the ground weeds, we're going to bring in all these weird bugs that never had before. Now it's going to come, you know, and besides the bugs, we're bringing in the feral animals, and it's pretty wild. And obviously, you know, pigs are on the highway now, you know, and chickens on the highway and deer on the highway. So we, if we don't use it properly, we're going to be encouraging all these other things to overpopulate, and they're already overpopulated, you know. I mean, we never would have a fence line on North Kihei Road like the mud flats, you know. Now we have fence line to keep the pigs and the deer, and, you know, we haven't seen many wild goats here, but they're not too far away to come down here. So if we don't use that, you know, we're going to get. But going back, you know, recently we working with the moon calendar because we want to do the right thing with the land and grow the right time and harvest the right time. And more than that, I think that in addition, we're trying to work with Makai. So Makai would be considered like us, Makai would be the ocean. And so we're trying to, recently, we're looking at the Maui Ocean Center. We've been in discussion with them for renewable energy stuff. I've been talking to them recently about being collaborating with us about Makai. So I think they're going to bring on a great partnership with us, collaborating what's happening with the moon between a farm product and all the marine life, you know. And both of you guys bring not only, you know, trying to be more culturally respected or culturally protocol, but also we have some science things that done that will benefit, I think, both Malcolm Makai, you know, how to, you know, they themselves are taking water out of the ocean and cleaning it every day for their tanks, you know. So right now in the state of Hawaii, speaking with the state, because they've got a process that they're cleaning the ocean a lot better, you know, and a model to work with shoreline cleaning and things like that. So I think ancient respect, ancient practice, moving into research and science and technology can help both environment and culture, you know, kind of thing. I think that's the most exciting thing working with you, Bob, with that, you know, and understanding your business and understanding what you're doing with the land and what's coming out of the land on fuel, feed, facial, and what's the other one?
Farm.
Farm, you know?
Agritourism.
And how in a small place you're at, all the farmers you're talking about are so diversified.
Yeah.
And who's the beneficiary of all of this? The people. And who's the beneficiary? So me, I consider in our culture, Napoe Kalani, the people of heaven, clean air. Napoe Kamawana, clean ocean. Napoe Kohanua, you know, working with natural way of farming versus using fertilizers or chemical. You know what I mean? So I think that's the most intriguing thing that all benefit, you know, kind of deal.
But I think this is what's great about talking with you is that I think we're in such an interesting time right now where technology is moving very, very fast, and we're all excited or nervous about where that technology is going. But a lot of the nervousness is that we're getting so far away from our roots, from our history, from the land. And so when you bring that back around, take that technology, you know, use that technology, but get people back grounded with the dirt and the culture, and all of a sudden things start making a lot more sense. And it's not so. I think, you know, I look at a lot of the farming programs that we've worked on in the past have been bringing in ex-military guys that have PTSD, you know, and they're confused. They've seen things they shouldn't have seen. They've been places where, you know, people shouldn't have to do that, but they did. And now they come back and they're confused, and you get them out on the ground and into the dirt, and they see things growing, and it's that it's the perspective that we need in order to use the technology that's coming. You have to keep it all in perspective, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
And I think that's a key, roots, where we came from. Who are we? What are we? And what are we doing? And where are we going with our ohana, our family? And so I think you hit it on the spot, roots. So ancient practices and has a foundation and has some deep meaning of that connection you talk about. When we talk about the military with PTS, you know, we work with them on paddling, you know, and how to, and today now they have a Wounded Warriors canoe race in Oahu, you know, and bring them back. And they've found themselves, you know, of doing that. And I cannot speak for them because I'm not one of them, but we've found some really great improvement in working with farm things like that, you know. And I think there's some consideration going on with that for the veterans, you know, right now about getting them to be considered first, you know, on some of these projects that's going on. So I'm really great for that. But I think that guys like you who had worked and lived with this, and now it reminds me of our kupuna, you know, elders, you know. Today we're trying to study to be science. They were science. They live with the elements, and now we're trying to learn their elements and go back. So each of that complements each other. So I'm with you about, you know, where it goes around and preserve culture and environment, you know, and we can go along together. So during the beginning of the show, I talked about the environment was just environment, you know, and funny that when we did the opening for the U.S. Fish Life, it was about the birds' doo-doo, you know, planting all the seed, making it green, and here we are, you know. I want to just say that it was really a great pleasure to have both of you, Joy and Bob, on the Kimokeo Foundation show, and to know that a Pacific Biodiesel in the betterment of Maui and making all of us a beneficiary of the work you guys do. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks
Mahalo.
for having us.
Mahalo to you, Kimokeo.
Thank you.
Going to present leis to our farmers. And you're saying in this chant, I present this lei, I entrust you with the land and what you're going to do with our land. And you entrust them what they've done here. And like Kelly and Bob said, this is a 90-day crop. 90 days from today, we'll present the lei back to you guys and say to you, you've entrusted me with this land. And are you very happy of what we have for you? Kalei maela o kaula ike kai ke malama lama o ni ia ua malie amalie pa kainu vaela ke inu maela.
This program is a joint production of the Kimokeo Foundation, whose mission is to preserve and perpetuate Hawaii's unique culture, language, people, and environment. Information is online at kimokeo.org. And Maui Causes, a crowd-funded media production group supporting not-for-profit, progressive, and environmental causes in Maui County. Join us on the web at mauicauses.org.